All right, welcome to video 2 in this series. We're going to continue talking about cartographic design principles, and we're going to focus on the first one here, understanding user requirements. So there are two important questions to ask yourself when you're creating a map. What information does the map user require from this map? Why are you doing this in the first place? What is the critical information that they need, and how will they be using this? So if you think about those questions prior to making your map, everything will kind of fall into place, and you'll be able to remove a lot of the clutter, which is unnecessary if you take the time to sort of consider it. So the design decisions that you make need to consider the answers to these questions. And if you do that and you think it through, you can make a beautiful map that the user will really want and like, and it will be helpful for them. And so it allows you to concentrate on the elements that will deliver the most value to the user, and as I said, it will lessen the clutter, which can be distracting and can cause confusion. I think this is a really interesting map. This is an example I grabbed off the web. And one thing to maybe ask yourself is there anything weird about this map? And depending on your familiarity with Asia, you may or may not pick up on anything. But this is a map of a part of Asia. We can see Japan there. We can see Peking, little symbol there for the capital Beijing of China. This is what the same area looks like on Google Earth. So hopefully you're seeing that there's a big difference here. And whoever made the first map did that with a very strong agenda. And for whatever reason, and I'm not sure who made this map or what they were trying to say, but they decided that the user of the map would be better suited if the Korean Peninsula was completely wiped out. And so there was a decision that was made there, which is a very interesting and powerful decision. And you could say, well, this is not representing reality. Well, this is another sort of lesson about cartography. Every map that's made, there is, conscious or not, an agenda that's going on there that the map maker is trying to move forward in one way or another. There's a message that the map maker is trying to get across. And it can be in a very in-your-face kind of a way where you remove an entire country, or it can be in other ways. This is another map I'm about to show you guys, also of the Korean Peninsula, and this presents a very different face on the Korean Peninsula and the Korean people. This is a very sort of powerful image that we see here, where Korea is symbolized as a very strong tiger who's eating Asia. He's very healthy and vibrant and something to be reckoned with, right? And so each of the people that made these different maps had something they were trying to get across and a message that they wanted the users to end up with. And thinking about the information that the user requires, the person who made this map showing Korea as a very strong tiger presumably wants the reader or the observer of this map to recognize that Korea is a very strong and dynamic country and something, or peninsula and people, and something to be recognized and respected. The second point I'd like to talk about is having a clear visual hierarchy. So this is a map, obviously, of England, and we can see Scotland and Republic of Ireland, and we can also see Europe off there. But if you look closely, you can see that there have been some design choices made to highlight some aspects of what we see in this map and to push other aspects into the background. And this is a map which the purpose was to provide an overview of Great Britain in context with the surrounding countries. So the focus of a map is Great Britain, right? That's the focus of the map. And some decisions were made. So Great Britain, if you look at this, the major cities have more of a vibrant, font to them. We have these little yellow dots signifying some major cities. The border of Great Britain is this very nice blue color, which is sort of bringing it out. It's bringing it to the forefront. And so when you establish a clear visual hierarchy, what you're doing is you're drawing attention to certain elements of the map and you're pushing other elements of the map further down the visual plane. You're pushing them into the background. And there's a concept we use to describe this. It's called the figure ground concept. And so the idea is that by using things like contrast, you're able to make things jump out on parts of the map and push other parts of the map falling back. And also maybe thinking about what should not even be on the map altogether. And so different ways of enhancing visual differences. If you have a very strong figure ground, well, that means that the figure is jumping out of your eyes and the ground is fading to the back. On the left here, where it's more of a shade of gray, this sort of weaker figure ground, it's really not as distinct. Edges are important. So we have visual differences with a contrast. Edges are important, and layering is also important. So all these things can be used to enhance visual differences or to make them more muddy, depending on what you're trying to do. These slides are also available for you to look at individually. But again, just some ideas about shape, direction, familiarity with these different objects. And all these things can enhance or push back some of the things that you're interested in. Let's talk about symbols a little bit. Symbol differentiation is very important. We've got this smiley face and the sad face, right? And the difference between these two is that there's a greater contrast in the smiley face versions than there is in the sad face versions. You want to make your map very pleasant and easy to understand and read. And big contrast is much easier to understand differences among symbols than slight contrast. Again, big contrast with text sizes, with the thickness of lines, all these things make it easier to understand that, for example, looking at these road networks, that these are different roads, right? If you look at the one on the far left, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between those different roads. Is one a major artery? Is one a country road? It's sort of difficult to get at that. Shape is also very important. So this is a map showing the number of active hate groups in different states in the United States in the year 2010. And what we can see here are a bunch of symbols used. So a triangle is if there's a state with 0 to 5 active hate groups, and a star is if you have 41 to 84 active hate groups. And the choice of this kind of symbolization is problematic because there's no intuitive understanding that a star means more than a circle, which means more than a square, right? So there's no understanding, there's no intuitive message that's just coming across here. Shape is a poor choice for showing quantitative data. This is much better, right? A big circle means that there's more of something than a tiny circle. So size is a good choice for showing quantitative data. So this is one example of how we can use symbology to help us out. And if we are plotting something else on, for example, a per county basis, we can use something called chloroplast maps, which are maps, and you guys have seen these a million times, but the basic definition is it's a map in which areas are shaded or patterned in proportion to the measurement of, you guys can all read this, but essentially looking at here we can see Wisconsin farm density. And we've got different shadings for different values. Now actually what's done here is not very helpful. Typically when we see sort of darker colors, that's more intense, right? But when we see darker colors, that means that there's less there. That's not that helpful. So this is actually an example where the darker colors mean more, but there's still an issue here. That when we have just an all black color, it's problematic in that we're losing the differences between these different counties. This is another map. And this is showing total Iraq and Afghanistan war casualties. And this is a different map because we haven't seen the use of color before. But as you might well imagine, the way that color is being used in this map is not very helpful. Because for me, there's no intuitive understanding that I have that if I see a green color, it means that there's a lot more of something than if that thing is a blue color. Right? So the use of color or hue in this case, it's a poor choice for showing quantitative data. It makes it difficult to see patterns, and we don't understand the order intuitively. And color hue is talking about different colors. So red and green, these are two different hues. Value is talking about different shades of one hue. Okay, this is an example of color value where we're going from sort of a dark red down to a very pale yellow, and we're changing the value of the color. It's becoming more and more intense and so on. And this makes sense, I think, to us that when we see this bright red, it means a lot. We see a washed out yellow, if this is the sort of sequence that we're using, it means not so many. And so this is the conclusion of part 2 of this video tutorial talking about cartographic design principles.